In the previous lecture, we have studied types of learning, supervised learning and unsupervised learning. In unsupervised learning, the data is unlabeled, so clustering is used. Two famous clustering methods we have seen, K-means clustering and principal component analysis. We have already seen what is the concept behind these two methods. Now in this lecture, we'll solve the example on PCA and K-means clustering. K-means clustering. Now let us see the algorithm for K-means clustering. First of all, we have to decide the number of clusters. Let k is equal to 2. Then in the next step, identify the k centroid for each cluster. So if two classes are there, k is equal to classes or the clusters, then identify k centroid for each clusters. Then determine the distance of object to the centroids. Then grouping object based on the minimum distance. Now you are getting here another centroid, and if you are getting the same centroid as we have decided or assumed previously, if it is same centroid, then stop the procedure, and if centroid is changed, then again go to the first step and again identify number of cluster k and do the same procedure, follow all the steps again until and unless you are getting a same centroid as previous. So this is the algorithm of K-means clustering. The example on K-means clustering, if I'll consider my data points are 10 data points I have taken here, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10, and I want two clusters, so I have taken k is equal to 2. Now you can consider any two centroids. If I consider here C1 is equal to 2 and C2 is equal to 4 from my data points. Now you have to find out two cluster data. Now let us check with the given data set. Now my cluster center one C1 is a 2, so you have to find the distance between this C1 and each data points which is given. So let us find out. Let us see, the first data point is a 1. So now check that 1 is near to C1 or C2. So it is 1 is near to C1, that's why I have written in the first cluster 1. Then check 2, 2 is near to 2, that's why again it is 2. 3 is near to 2 or a 4, 3 is near to 2 I have considered, that's why I am getting here 1 2 3 in the first class. Now let us check for the next data points. 4 is more near to 4 is nothing but C2, so again it will come to the cluster 2 4. 5 is more near to 4, that's why again it is come to second cluster. 6 is near to 4, that's why again it comes to second cluster, and so on up to 10. Obviously all the points after 4 are near to 4 than the 2. So I am getting here two cluster data points. In one cluster I am getting 1 2 3, and in another cluster I am getting 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10. Now these are the cluster data points after assuming the cluster centroids. Now let us find actual centroid which we are getting from this clusters. So how to find the centroids? C1 is equal to find the mean, 1 plus 2 plus 3 divided by 3, you are getting 2. Then C2, find the mean of this second cluster data points, 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10 divided by 7, because 7 data points are there. And after calculation this, C1 I am getting 2 and C2 is 7. Now check this cluster center points C1 and C2 are same as that of previous C1 and C2. No, even C1 is the same 2, there is no change, but C2 is changed from 4 to 7. If it is not same, then again do the same procedure. Now again do the same procedure. Again see our data points. Now check each and every data point which is uh, that data point is near to C1, new C1 or C2. First data point is a 1. 1 is more near to 2. That's why it will come in cluster 1. Then 2 is more near to 2. That's why again it comes to 2 in cluster 1. Then 3 and 4. In this way I am getting 1, 2, 3, 4 in cluster 1 and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in cluster 2. Now again find out C1 and C2 by taking the mean of this data points or cluster points. It's a 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 divided by 4, and C2 will be 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10 divided by 6. C2 I am getting 7.5. I'll consider it is near to 8, that's why it's a 8. And C1 is 2.5, it will be 3. Now my C1 is 3 and C2 is 8. Now compare this C1 and C2 with the previous C1 and C2. Is it same? No. Previous C1 was 2. Now new C1 I am getting 3 and C2 was 7 and new C1, C2 I am getting 8. That's why again follow the same step. Again see your data points 1 to 10 and find which is near to, these data points are near to which class center point 3 or 8. Now after doing this I am getting these two cluster 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in cluster 1 and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in another cluster. Now again find out the centroids using the same procedure. That means 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 divided by 5. I am getting C1 is equal to 3 and 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10 divided by 5 I am getting C2 is equal to 8. Now again check with the whether this C1 and C2 are same as that of previous C1 and C2. Yes. If it is same, I am getting C1 and C2 same, then stop the procedure. So these are your final centroids, that is C1 and C2 are 3 and 8 respectively. And the cluster points, in first cluster I am getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and in another cluster I am getting 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So here we have to stop. Now let us consider another problem. In this problem I have taken different data types. Now see the data points I have taken 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 10, 12 and 15. But in the previous example we have considered number of cluster 2. Now here in this example we will consider the cluster k is equal to 3. I want to make 3 cluster from this data points. So let us consider the centroid. If I consider the centroid C1 is equal to 2, C2 is equal to 5 and C3 is equal to 6. So check one by one data points from the given data and compare that with the each data is near to which C1, C2 or C3. So after comparing I am getting in first cluster 1, 2, 3, in second cluster I am getting 5 and in third cluster I am getting 6, 7, 10, 12, 15. So 1, 2, 3 are more near to 2, 5 is near to 5 and 6, 7, 10, 12 and 15 are more near to 6. Now find the centroids. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 divided by 3 I am getting 2. Then for 5 I am getting C2 is equal to 5 and 6 plus 7 plus 10 plus 12 plus 15 divided by 5 I am getting C3 is equal to 10. Now compare this C1, C2, C3 with the previous C1, C2, C3. Are they same? No. C1 and C2 are same, but C3 is changed from 6 to 10. Then again repeat the procedure. Again check your data points with this new C1, C2 and C3. After finding the distance, I am getting 3 clusters as 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 and 10, 12 and 15. Now after finding out the centroid, 1 plus 2 plus 3 divided by 3 is 2, 5 plus 6 plus 7 divided by 3 is 6 and 10 plus 12 plus 15 divided by 3, I am getting 30. Now again check this C1, C2, C3 are different from previous C1, C2, C3, that is 2, 5 and 10 respectively. Now in this C3 is changed from 10 to 13. That's why again follow the same procedure. I am again check the data points are more near to which centroid, either it is to 2, 6 or 13. After doing this, I am getting again new new cluster points are 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 and in third cluster I am getting 10, 12 and 15. Now again find the centroids. For this I am getting the centroid for this are 2, 6 and 13. Now this 2, 6, 13 are the same as that of previous 2, 6 and 13. That means stop the procedure. So these are my final centroids and these are C1 equal to 2, C2 is equal to 6 and C3 is equal to 13 with the data points. In cluster 1 I am getting 1, 2, 3, in cluster 2 I am getting 5, 6, 7 and in cluster 3 I am getting 10, 12 and 15. So in this way we can solve any problem on k-means clustering. Next method is principal component analysis. Let us see the steps to find principal component analysis. Subtract the mean of the data from each variable, then calculate and form a covariance matrix, then calculate eigenvector and eigenvalues from the covariance matrix, then choose a feature vector, then multiply the transpose feature vector by transpose adjust data. So finally we are getting principal component of the given data. Now directly we'll see the example on this. Suppose transpose data is given A is equal to 2, 4, 1, 3, 0, 1 and -1, 0.5. Now first row will consider X and second row will consider Y. So here 4 data points are given. That's why n is equal to 4. Now according to the steps, we will see what is the covariance of xy. This is a formula. It is equal to summation of x minus x bar into y minus y bar divided by n minus 1, where x bar is the mean of x. Now for given data, I am getting 4 points for x. One is a 2, 1, 0 and -1. So let us take the mean and find x bar. So x bar is equal to 2 plus 1 plus 0 minus 1 divided by 4. So I am getting x bar as a 0.5. Similarly, y bar is the mean of y. It is equal to 4 plus 3 plus 1 plus 0.5 divided by 4. I am getting y bar is equal to 2.37. So these two are mean x bar and y bar. Now the next step is to calculate the covariance matrix. Now prepare the table in this way. Now let us see one by one column. In first column I have written all the values of x, that is 2, 1, 0, -1. In second column I have written y values 4, 3, 1, 0.5. In third column I have given that variable as a p, or it is nothing but xi minus x bar. Now xi is what? Basically ith x values. So what is my first value is 2. So 2 minus what was my x bar? X bar is 0.5. So 2 minus 0.5 is 1.5. Similarly 1 minus 0.5 is 0.5. 0 minus 0.5 is 0. Minus 0.5. Minus 1 minus 0.5 is minus 1.5. So in this way I am getting third column. Similarly find the fourth column, yi minus y bar. From each y subtract the value of y bar. Y bar is 2.37. That means 4 minus 2.37 is 1.875. 3 minus y bar is 0.875. Then third value is a minus 1.125 and last value is a minus 1.625. Now to find the covariance matrix or see the equation of a covariance, we require this term x minus x bar into y minus y bar. So let us find fifth column as xi minus x bar into yi minus y bar. That means p into q. Just multiply 1.5 with 1.875. I am getting 2.8125. Similarly 0.4375. For third data it's up 0.5625, and for finally I am getting 2.4375. Now let us calculate xi minus x bar bracket square. That means 1.5 into 1.5 I am getting 2.25. 0.5 into 0.5 I am getting 0.25. For the next I am getting 0.25 and the last value is 2.25. Similarly for yi minus y bar square, that is 1.875 into 1.875, it is equal to 3.5156. Next value is 0.7656. Next value is 1.2656 and the last value is 2.6406. Now we are getting these values from the equation. Now one more term is here, that is summation. That means addition of all the values. So we'll find the summation for each column. For PQ I am getting the summation value of PQ, it is nothing but 6.25. Here I am getting summation of P square, that is 5, and summation of Q square, that is 8.1874. Add all these values, we are getting summation values. Now we'll write covariance of x with x. So the equation is summation of I is equal to 1 to n, that is 1 to 4 xi minus x bar bracket square divided by n minus 1. We have already calculated summation xi minus x bar bracket square, and that is 5. So directly do 5 divided by 3, I am getting 1.67. Now similarly find out the covariance matrix of y with y. The equation is summation I is equal to 1 to n yi minus y bar square divided by n minus 1. I have already the value for yi minus y bar square, it's 8.187. Divided with 3, I am getting 2.72. And finally find the covariance value for x with y. It's summation I is equal to 1 to n xi minus x bar into yi minus y bar divided by n minus 1. We have already the value of 6.25. Divided by 3, I am getting 2.08. And if we'll find covariance of y with the x, I am getting same values, that is 2.08, because the equation will be same. Now just write all these values in the covariance matrix. It is defined as a C 1.67, x with x is 1.67, x with y is 2.08, y with x is 2.08, and y with y is 2.72. So in this way I am getting covariance matrix of size 2 by 2. the next step is calculate eigenvalues. We know the formula to find the eigenvalues is c minus lambda I is equal to 0, mod of c minus lambda I. Now just take the mod of c minus lambda I. Let us put c value, it's a 1.67, 2.08, 2.08 and 2.72, minus when we multiply lambda with the I identity matrix, I am getting lambda 0, 0 lambda, mod equal to 0. After solving this, I am getting the equation, quadratic equation I am getting, it's lambda square minus 4.4 lambda plus 0.2202 is equal to 0. Now after solving this quadratic equation, I am getting two lambdas. Lambda 1 is equal to 4.3494 and lambda 2 is equal to 0.0506. Now the next step is to calculate the eigenvectors or the principal component analysis. That is Z1 is equal to A11x1, A12x2 and Z2 is equal to A21x1 and A22x2. Now let us see how to calculate Z1 and Z2. Now we have two values of lambda 1 and lambda 2. Now let us put lambda 1 in the equation. So lambda 1 is equal to 4.3494. So I am getting 1.67 minus 4.3494, 2.08, 2.08 and 2.72 minus 4.3494 into A11, A12 equal to 0. After solving this, I am getting the equation minus 2.6794 A11 plus 2.08 A12 equal to 0 and 2.08 A11 minus 1.6194 A12 equal to 0. Now there are two unknown A11 and A12. So after solving the equation, I am getting two values. A11 is equal to 0.61 and A12 is equal to 0.79. Now here we consider lambda 1 is equal to 4.3494. For these values I am getting A11 and A12. Now use another lambda, that is lambda 2 as a lambda, and put into the equation and find the values for A21 and A22. Now after putting lambda 2 in the equation, I am getting 1.67 minus 0.0506, 2.08, 2.08, 2.72 minus 0.0506 multiply with A21 and A22 equal to 0. So after solving in the similar way, we are getting A21 is equal to 0.79 and A22 is equal to 0.61. Now I am having all four values A11, A12, A21 and A22. Now just put these four values in the equation of Z1 and Z2. So this is nothing but principal component analysis for given data. Thank you.